Our very name for God's creation is nature, for God is love, and love is what nature is. We thus define nature for you in simple words. Nature is a light wave image of thoughts which express God's love nature. Light waves are optically projected from his formless and unconditioned one light into countless many forms of conditioned light, which we call matter. In other words, God is love, and matter manifests love. Hi everybody, it's Shauna with Theraphase Biofield Tuning, and I'm just gonna jump on for a moment and have a quick little thought ramble about the idea that people tend to become very collectivized in their thinking and jump on to bandwagons of group traditional ingrained ways of seeing the world or explaining the way things work, and it generally gets wound up in the structures of religion and politics, and these are kind of tools that can be used for organizing people, groups of people, and groups of thinking, ways of thinking. And I was born into a religion that was quite, let's just say, really terrestrialized my mind and my consciousness and the way I saw things. And it's from birth, So I know I'm not the only one. A lot of people have. But I was one of the ones in my family that decided to break away from that, and I really had to find things out for myself. And they didn't really like it when I started asking lots of questions about their ideas of God and the way the world destiny even. So I've been sort of an independent on my own since probably about, officially maybe my early 20s, but even before then, as a teenager, of course, really started having bigger questions about what was going on. And so I have been really a staunch rejecter of anytime something gets served up to me that feels like somebody's trying to tell me what God is. And so it's bringing up a lot of stuff for me right now, going through the Walter Russell home course workbook, because he uses the word God a lot, and I noticed in myself that I'm getting already like I have a reaction, an agitation about that, and so it's making me wonder why. Well, it's probably because of this early programming, I call it God programming, that happened, that's still, has this aftertaste going on. And so I'm trying to be aware of that as I go through the material, and just to keep in mind that, it's just part of the language that's used. But ultimately, when we go through presentations of theories as these are presented by these big thinkers who who start universities and are teaching the masses, it just is something that I have to dissect on my own, because it's not that I reject what he's talking about and his description of what God is necessarily. And so I don't want to close the book on that, because he actually is making sense. But I'm just making a note that I'm noticing that I have this like recoil, like, ooh, I don't like, stop talking like that. Just, maybe we could come up with a new word or something. Or it just feels like it's still a language that sounds like anthropomorphizing God to be, oh, maybe that's not the right word. Maybe that's the word that's used for only animals. But it's like projecting a human behavior or way of being onto God. It's like, is God really in a perpetual state of ecstatic inner joy? Because that's what he's saying in the material. And like, I don't know how we can assign that at this point. So I just have questions, but I'm going to keep reading and go through with it, of course, because I'm at the very beginning and haven't really given it an opportunity to really explain what it's talking about. But because of this like early background and super the religious background, yeah, it's just like I'm gonna have to just be aware of my response to that and not let it distract me from the morsels of information that are really resonating with me, because there's a lot. Most of it's awesome. I love it. It makes a lot of sense. So that's just a personal reaction. But yeah, part of it is also like a collectivized way of thinking. And so it's just his version of his idea of what the created world could be if we all were awakened to our own divine inheritance, as he calls it. So this spark of creation and creativity, and so I can get along with the idea that that's possible. But when we jump onto bandwagons, it's sometimes it's like, if you come in, how do we explain that? It's like you agree with some of it, and so in order to get on the bandwagon and go with the group, you need to agree with all of it, and I think that this is where people may have difficulty just kind of taking in information and disseminating it, discerning it from within, and that you never really fully sign on and wear the t-shirt of any one conformed way of doing things. It just kind of squashes the creativity just by doing that. And so it's just one way of looking at things. And so I can appreciate that and not get too hung up on it. When your realization of your cosmic unity with God is strong enough, your cosmic power is the measure of your intensity of that realization. The only way you can multiply your strength to think or to create or to command matter to your obedience, such as commanding your body to health or commanding masterly achievement by control over your body, is to multiply God awareness in you. Hello everybody, this is Shauna Mayfield with Theraphase Biofield Tuning. And so I'm jumping on again to make another note about the Walter Russell home study course from the University of Science and Philosophy. I have read through the first 2 lessons and I've gone through them several times making notes, and I've even had a discussion with my friend also who is going through the material, and he's opening up with just the definitions of meditation and what that actually is in the light of how he is presenting this information. And he's calling it a divine function. And essentially meditation is communion with God and practicing, or I didn't say practicing, but like having God awareness, or I guess cosmic consciousness. He also is giving a definition of what your brain is and what your mind is and your soul. And so there's a difference between knowing and thinking. And that when you are in the state of knowing, you're connecting with mind, yourself, your essence, your soul, and also the universal mind of God. Yeah, so the inward thinking is of the mind, soul, it's spiritual, and the outward thinking is of the brain, it's physical, and it has to do with physical qualities and desires. He calls the brain the seat and electric recorder of sensation. And so he's saying that the first step is to stop thinking and substitute knowing. He also talks a lot about forgetting the body and desiring the light, and to sort of rise above the body sensations. And so I've been trying to understand this more, because it's really kind of reflecting something that isn't going along with the way I am experiencing how biofield tuning works, which is, or any kind of healing really, is more about embodiment. And so I am taking this in slowly. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I also don't necessarily understand it fully. And so that is how this kind of work goes. And so I'm not going to let that make me want to close the book or anything. He's talking about this experience of ecstasy as being a perpetual universal state of Creator's mind, and that we are kind of seeking this inner joyousness, the state of knowing, as a permanent characteristic. And so this also is sort of a monotoned way of being. In my first take on this, I don't necessarily want to be in an ecstatic state of inner joy perpetually, because it's not realistic. The human experience has quite a broad spectrum of different emotions that we go into through the wave of cresting at the peak of joy and ecstasy, and then coming down into those really deep, dark lows where we come in touch with what is known as the shadow. And we can't eliminate that or cut ourselves off from the body. So I'm going to read this more with an open mind. Basically, he's describing God as being equivalent to a universal soul that is creating a universe body, and that we are doing the same. and it is created body of light wave universe is a whole. And so that God's thinking and imagining are the desire to express one idea, and it becomes divided units of ideas manifesting the one idea. He is saying that love is equivalent to creation, which is equivalent to God's one idea. And this is really quite poetic and a beautiful way to describe things. And so I do enjoy that about the way that he writes. And this is coming through the material. He has a book called The Divine Iliad, and that one in particular is super poetic. And so he does quote from that, and this is definitely speaking in the same kind of language. Here's a little quote from the book. Excuse me. All matter is but electric wave pulsations of his thinking, recording the idea of his thinking in forms which appear, disappear, and reappear to synchronize with the cyclic sequences of his concentrative, decentrative, and reconcentrative thinking, which characterize the entirety of effect in this dynamic universe of his creating. God's eternally creating universe is the result of his eternally continuous meditation and desire to manifest idea. You create your universe in the same manner and by the same processes and method under control of the same law. There is no other manner, nor process, nor method, nor law. Your universe is your mind idea of what you are. It is your soul's desire manifested into the material image of your thinking. It is the fruit of your meditation. So every sentence that I read out of this material is so potent, and I have to reread it several times to really grasp an understanding of what he's saying. It's like when he edited his work, like there was no extra words that fluffed it up. It's just a concentration. And so it's hard, you can't glaze over it and just kind of read it and move on. So you really have to read it, meditate about it, and just let it sink in. And so I had to get through this initial response of like the triggering of like, oh, he's using the word God a lot, and he's saying love and light a lot, and he's just saying him, his, God is a him, so just like getting through that kind of stuff, but getting to the real morsel of it beyond the initial reaction, because I feel that what he's saying is actually really precious and a gem of knowledge and wisdom to be leaving. I was reading it and I go, my goodness, when I pass on, I really hope I can leave this to my kids, or it's going to go to the right person. It's like the doctrine, a secret doctrine, but it's not secret. That's the whole point, is that he was making it available for everybody. And there's Maisie. And so I hope it inspires you. It is something that he talks about too, is being inspired by your light inspiring other people. And if there's something that you want to comment about this Walter Russell material, maybe you've been studying on your own for a while now and you understand some things that I'm not getting yet, you want to leave a comment for me, that's fine. So I humbly critique the material, but it's only my own just baby introduction to the whole thing. I'm really just a beginner in trying to understand Walter Russell's cosmic theology, but I absolutely love it so far. I'm going to post a lot more things about it because it's just one of those topics that I really keeping me really interested and coming back to it. And as often as I can, I will make a video, share with you some feedback also from my friend and his interpretations and insights in the material. And yeah, if you like this kind of stuff, subscribe. It's just a little baby channel. I do it for fun. But have a wonderful day, and I will be with you all again very soon.